Thursday, the 9th of February, 2023. In this evening's show, we run the rule over Tuesday's 2-all draw against Huddersfield as the Pool got out of jail, mainly thanks to Josh Bowler. We also look ahead to another massive relegation 6-pointer against Rotherham this Saturday at Bloomfield Road. And I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast, match reaction show and match preview. Blackpool 2, Huddersfield 2, and Rotherham preview.
With a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. Nick Unmute. It's a combo reaction and preview show. Tim, Raggy, and Nick are in the hot seats this evening. Tim, do you remember the balloon of expectation that built for the Watford away trip that was
popped?
And that's exactly the same feeling that we had when we were in the Bloomfield when the team sheets came out.
Yeah, I've got to say, I mean, I had a lot. I was so buzzing all day for Tuesday. Really nervous. Don't know why I was nervous particularly, but I felt nervous. I felt like it was a big game. I couldn't wait to finish work. I couldn't wait to nip down to the Armfield and have one in there because normally I wait for the lads to arrive, but back 5:45, I'd had enough. I was just like, let's get out and get stuck into the night really. And I was buzzing until I was out
early. I was out early as well.
And I was going to come meet you
at 5:30. I was in the pub for 6.
Yeah. So the expectation was built quite high, I think, amongst a lot of people, and then it came down rather flat with that because. The positive was it wasn't 5 at the back, but it was. I think I used the expression a prosaic lineup, didn't I, on the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, we all started googling it.
Yeah, got to educate on that WhatsApp group. That's what it's all about. So no, but it was. I was a tad disappointed by the omissions. And not for the first time this week, I've looked at the subs bench and thought a lot of them should have been in the team ahead of those who were picked. I had the same feeling at Middlesbrough.
Raggy, was the atmosphere in the Armfield as flat as a pint of bitter in the Bloomfield club when the team sheet came out?
Yeah and no. It was a good atmosphere, and I was the same like everyone else. Was feeling it on Tuesday, thinking this is a big game tonight, and I was out of work early and down there, and everyone had that expectation. But when the team came out, it will have been met with the same things that you met it with. But the only thing I could say before it, at least I could understand what he did, even though I didn't agree with one bit of it. It just seemed to have picked the 11 hardest players we had and got them on the pitch. So at least I could understand it. Even though I didn't agree with it.
You could see the method behind the madness.
So you think if the first team were having a fight with the subs, the first team would win, would they?
Yeah, 100%.
Team, I should say.
100%. I think that's probably what they did. Yeah. Had a fight and you're in. Apart from Hamilton, but he was too fast, no one could catch him to fight him.
We needed him for his long throws.
Yeah.
CJ's shuttlecock. Nick, let's get the team sheet up on the screen. Let's pick this apart.
Yeah, well,
Maxwell, Connolly, Good, Nelson, Husband, Tribal, Carey, Dougal, Yates, Hamilton, Medine on the bench. Grimmy, Lyons, Patino, Pervader, Rogers, Bowler, and Lavery. So quite a lot of changes from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, and similar to Raggy, I said to you in the Phoenix Club that it looks like Operation 0-0 for an hour, and then maybe bring a bit of flair off the bench if it's still 0-0. Obviously, the flaw in that plan is if you go 1-0 down, which we did. And again, similar to Raggy, I could see what he was trying to do. You know, the midfield has been wide open for most of the season, so you two holding midfields or defensive midfielders, if you like. I can understand that, but I think there's a balance to be had, isn't there, in terms of, you know, trying to nullify the opposition, be solid, but also having something going forward in an attacking sense. And obviously, I think that's where it was lacking. And, you know, if it had have come off and you're 0-0 after an hour and you bring your flair players on and get the win, then we'd all be saying it was, you know, it was genius. But I just, the longer the game went on, I just thought, as the first half went on, this is a missed opportunity here, because they weren't great, and I just couldn't help but think the likes of, you know, whether it was a Rodgers or Poveda or Bowler running at them, they did look a bit shaky at the back, and it, you know, it could have been a different story, and it would have been great then going into Saturday with, you know, with 3 points, because, you know, as we'll come on to later, that's not going to be easy on Saturday. So can understand why he did it, but
I can't.
Yeah,
I still can't to this day.
It's not something I want to see. Well, it's not going to be repeated at least the next 4 games, is it? With Medine being out, but there is enough options now in that team to be able to get that balance right. I think between, you know, being solid, harder to beat, which I understand, but we didn't. You know, we're going to need, what is it, 7 or 8 wins between now and the end of the season. So we need to be a bit more attacking.
Tim, your thoughts on that?
Oh God, where'd you start? I mean, David's just reminded us that we didn't pick Bowler to start, but we didn't not pick Bowler to start to replace him by people who weren't going to give us an attacking threat. We picked Bowler to come off the bench just because we felt that, particularly, you know, the guys we picked, and particularly Morgan Rodgers, would perhaps work harder than he would in that early part of the game, and then he would come on in the second half. So I don't think we were wrong in not picking Bowler, but
Lions was a strange one.
Lions was incredibly strange because he's fast, he's tenacious, he sticks the foot in.
It's a goal threat.
Yeah, and I didn't see Sonny Carey starting, or Hamilton starting.
You expect one of Poveda, Bowler, or Rodgers. You expect at least one of them.
Definitely
to start.
One, and I would argue 2, but definitely one. But the loving with CJ continues, and I was bemused really. Particularly the lines made no sense to me, and then as the game started and we saw what we were doing, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but about 20 minutes in, I thought the referee blew for a free kick. I thought, God, there hasn't been many free kicks in this game. And then I suddenly realised that's because the ball had only spent about 5% of the time on the floor, and the rest of the time it was in the air. So nobody's going to foul when the ball's 30 foot in the air. So it was the bizarrest approach, particularly against a team who are struggling. I just think we just gave the initiative away. We had the backing of a vociferous support, and the first half ended up incredibly muted, and that was just because, quite frankly, of the dross that was being served up on the pitch, and it was dross. Let's not beat about the bush, and it was designed to be dross. That's what worries me. We set out to launch the ball diagonals. Half of them were overhit and went out into touch anyway, and it was just and half of them were just generally booted into an area of a field where we didn't even have a player, and if we did have a player, they didn't win the ball, and it was dreadful. But we went with that. That was the system went to play. It's not dreadful. Sometimes the team play crap, and they're just bad, and you've just got to say, well, he picked the right players, but it just didn't work. But we set out. There was clearly there was a scheme put in place to launch that ball forward. And it wouldn't matter who played in midfield in that first half. Nobody was ever going to touch the ball. It was just bypassing them constantly. Anyway, I'm sure we're going to carry on talking about that as the show goes on.
Yeah. Okay, Raggy, how do you think we started this game? And the first sort of key moment from Blackpool was a wonder save from Chris Maxwell.
Yeah, which I was half. My view was skewed a little bit because I was right down at the front. But I don't know, some of the best football I've seen for years in that first half, I would have said.
He's been on the Red Bulls and the vodkas, everyone. I saw him down an entire bottle of Smirnoff in the green room.
I'd had a drink before I got there. No, I tell you what. Yesterday when I was sat thinking about it, whenever McCarthy's been into a job, he's largely gone into clubs when they're struggling, and I think he's largely gone into teams and squads that are not very good, and he's had to come up with that kind of system to get the best out of what they've got. I think he's got a totally different thing here. He's got a good team, but he's doing the same approach, but he doesn't need to do that here. It isn't going to work. He hasn't got 11 big lumps to start doing that every week, and I hope he learns fast. And I think Bowler, I wouldn't have left Bowler out. I know you lot did, but I wasn't my team. But maybe Bowler's different in training as well, though. If he's not seeing him, Bowler, he reacts to the crowd, doesn't he? He gets everyone at it, and he's off. And maybe he's different in training when he doesn't look quite as good because you haven't got that crowd roaring him on.
I think Mitch made a good point. He says he reacts very well to being benched, Bowler, and it definitely was the case when he came on.
I think he reacts to the excitement of the crowd. So in the first minute of the game, maybe everyone's not as excited as they are in the last 15 when you're pushing and you need to score a goal. Maybe there's something in that. But
I mean, Raggy, what Tim said just before, that the atmosphere was brilliant, and it's back to how it has been in the past. And those tactics and that team selection, it just sucked all the atmosphere and everything that built up over the first 20 minutes. It ruined the atmosphere, sucked it dry.
It's terrible. There's not a person in the crowd would have picked that team out, all them tactics. And that's what slightly worries me, that these are the tactics he'll have used everywhere with a load of plodders. But he hasn't got that. He's got a load of fast, useful players if he wants to use them. And they were all on the bench. So maybe he's seen it. Maybe he saw something the other night. And that's what I say about Bowler. Maybe he's seen Bowler now and thought, I didn't know he could do that, because he hasn't seen it properly.
Well, he's mentioned about Pervader, hasn't he? Saying, I can't remember the exact quote, but he's like on a different planet and superb player, all these superlatives about him. And in the last two games, he's played about 3 minutes. It's like, what? Now, unless there's something gone on behind the scenes, and it's again he's back in on the naughty step. I don't know, but we don't want the players who can win matches on the naughty step, do we? We want to manage them to produce the goods for us, and I don't even know if that is the case. But how the heck?
He's got to get them on the pitch. He's got to get all them players on that pitch and find the way, because it's just the equivalent of Manchester City going to Arsenal, leaving Haaland out and De Bruyne out and Mahrez and Foden and saying, oh, well, we'll bring them on later and try and score. They wouldn't do it. We've got good players. Everyone knows we've got good players. That's why the frustration levels are high with everybody.
Do you know what? This squad now would be better under Michael Appleton than under Mick McCarthy.
I thought that actually on Tuesday night. I think Michael Appleton would have won that game.
What a delicious irony, Tim.
That is the epitome of the delicious irony.
Yeah, I mean, Phil's just fallen off his shit. In Wales, Phil's just fallen off his stool hearing that. I'm starting to agree with Phil far too much at the moment, which is very worried side.
As for the first half then, Nick, as I just showed up on the banner before, Chris Maxwell made an absolute worldie of a save, getting down to his right, and he certainly earned his corn in that game, and with that save.
He did, and I watched it again just before, and he totally set to go the other way, and it's actually gone past him before he's made the save, and I just thought it was in.
Do you remember Dave Seaman's save? Was it against Chesterfield in that semi?
No, it was Sheffield United.
Sheff United. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember that when he's gone? The ball's gone behind him. And he scooped it. It reminded me of that, but slightly higher up. Nick's frozen.
Anyway, I'll jump in while he's off. It was incredible reactions because I was right behind it, and I just thought straight away that's in, and it was deflected. He wasn't. It spun it the opposite way to the way he was expecting it to go. So, got to say, as much as I malign his ever presence in the team, he earned his corn with that one.
He just generally had a very good game yesterday. And Raggy, there was pretty much our only decent chance of the first half. Sonny Carey bundled one wide, if you remember, down the other end. Should have done better.
Yeah, but in terms of that, things like that, I'm so far at the front, I can't give you a technical analysis on that because I don't see it. I just see the crowd go a bit. So I can't give you too much on that.
I think the only reason why I've highlighted that is because it was the only thing that happened, Tim, from a Blackpool point of view in the first half. But the main thing from our perspective was what I've entitled there, good off good. Maybe that second good should have a question mark on it because I think it forced McCarthy to shuffle the pack and change his approach to the game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for him, and you could see his disappointment. I mean, as I recall, he was on the right hand side and was just chasing the players who were going down towards the left corner flag, and then he just all of a sudden pulled up, and straight away, anybody who's ever played football knows when that happens, you aren't carrying on. I know they tried to. To be fair, I think they tried to do some. Work with him on the pitch just simply because the sub wasn't ready to come on.
Is that why you think they did that? Because I was going, just get him off. So what's the point? He's not coming back on.
No, but we had Lyons wasn't ready. So I don't. Well, they should be ready, shouldn't they? But obviously, as we see plenty of times when there's an enforced substitution, it quite often takes a little bit of time to get the new man on. And I was a little bit like you originally. I was thinking, why are we messing around trying to? He ain't going to carry on, but we ultimately decided that it must be tactical, so we don't play on with 10 men, which is it shows us using our noddle a bit, where sometimes we've accused the team of being a little bit naive, haven't we? So I think that was it. And like you say, as unfortunate as it was for Good, what it did do was bring on a player who's actually going to bring the ball out with feet and take the game a little bit to Huddersfield, which we just weren't doing. It was a very one-sided half. I mean, they were poor, but we made them look like Brazil in comparison to the way we were playing. And it was quite embarrassing at some stages about how badly we were doing it. It was just this launching it, as I touched upon before, it was just again and again and again, bypassing midfield. Maybe it's an attempt to get it to Medine and then play for the second ball. But the problem was when Holloway did it, it was very measured and it was accurate passes and it was hitting players. And if they didn't win the ball and keep it, we were then playing for the second ball. But here it was like Peter Kay was drafted in to play across the whole line of our defence and was just going, have it! And just...
Well, funny you should say that, Tim, because the next topic we're going to be talking about, I've titled Nelson, have it!
You can tell again I haven't looked at the script, can't you?
Funny
enough... It's a good lead-in, though. It's a good lead-in for it.
I was watching it again before and hadn't looked at the script and actually said in my head myself, have it, because it was just... Although what was more annoying was, and it's my pet hate this, where we gave the free kick away in the first place, and that was Nelson as well, wasn't it? Where he's just giving him a shove right in front of the ref, and then all of a sudden they've got an opportunity to whip a great ball in, which I think they'd done a couple of minutes before, and then it's a goal-scoring opportunity, isn't it? I think it was Medine headed it out, and then Nelson's done his Peter Kay impression, and then I think Medine started to look like he was going to try and head it again, and then he's kind of left it at the last second for Connolly, and he's left it as well. So between them, they both thought the other one's having it. It was a bit
calamity.
Yeah, and then
it's a shame we weren't playing Rotherham really, because it could have been to me, to you, To you, to me.
I was just
to me,
thinking that as well. Oh, it was like yin and yang tonight.
Yeah, it was poor.
Soft goal, wasn't it, Raggy? Right in front of the North as well.
It's terrible. Funnily enough, I just walked out and I walked back in the central thing right behind the net because I thought, what's going on? And then seen that happened. I don't believe it. It's it is what it is, isn't it? It's 50p feet everywhere, just pinging the ball everywhere, and they're not used to it, are they? So what do you do? They don't know what they're doing. It's crazy. It's crazy football, but I mean, if it carries on for the next 15, 16 games, we might as well laugh at it because we're going down if we play like that. So we might as well laugh. See who can hit it the highest. You have to put a thing on here about who can kick the ball the highest.
Maybe
that'll be a training tomorrow. Decide to pick the squad on the basis of whoever kicks it the highest is definitely in.
Well,
they've already done it on who can fight the most. So
they've done it on who can throw the ball highest as well from a throw-in. That's CJ. CJ Shuttlecock.
He's the worst long thrower out of long throwers.
Can throw it the highest though, Raggy. Doesn't matter. It only goes 5 meters. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was watching every single one of them on Tuesday night. Was that same?
Up,
down.
Yeah, they have to lie him down.
He struggled to get it in the box.
So maybe if we lie him down though and get him to throw it, it might go in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, gallows humour. I think this is known as. The next talking point I've penned is a dreadful first half, and I was not happy at half time. I was raging. I went to go and get a drink to sort of calm me down, but I shouted at McCarthy, "Fucking shit, McCarthy! Not good enough!"
You were calling an EGP, weren't you? At half time, and
I was raging.
Who's on tonight? We'll get on tonight.
But joking aside, I'm struggling to remember as bad a first half performance all season.
I said that to Nick in the
decade.
beforehand.
For seasons.
Yeah, it was poor, wasn't it? Sorry, me internet dropped, so I missed a bit. I've got a Sky engineer coming tomorrow, so apologies in advance if I go again. Did you cover the sending off?
Sorry, we've missed that. Have we missed one? That was just.
We've talked about that. There's so much went on in that first half. We've just
was it in the first? I thought it was in the second half.
No, first half.
No, it was right at the end, wasn't it?
First half injury time. Yeah,
you're right, Nick. Yeah.
It was a straight red for me all day long. I think earlier in the half, it was Medina was on. I couldn't tell because it was at the other end, but I think it was Medina was on the floor for something, and he was moaning at the ref that something had gone on, and the ref just waved it away. And I think sometimes then he just gets it in his head, doesn't he? And he spends more time wanting to have a fight with the defender than just getting on with the game. And he's just led with his elbow for me. He's not looking to get the ball. He's looking to get the man, and stupid. Do
you not think he'll have been sent out there in some capacity? They'll wound up McCarthy, get into them centre halves, get him, smash him. I know you don't want him getting sent off, but
possibly.
Yeah, there's a line though, isn't there? And I think it's one thing if someone's going for a 50-50 ball and they're a split second late or they're a bit too high. That he knew, you could see on his face. If you watch the highlight, as soon as it did it, he's like, "Oh, what have I done there?"
There's a loose cannon in that respect, isn't he? But I think if he has been given instruction to get out and rough him up a bit, he might have felt he had a bit of license to do it. He's just mistimed it, hasn't he? And whatever.
What really resonated with me was that normally when a player gets sent off, they get some muted applause, don't they? Or a lot of applause if they've, it's just an unfortunate tackle. But Medine seemed to get roundly booed from all angles. I mean, most certainly in the north, there was quite a lot of vitriol directed towards him because, as soon as my eyesight's a bit dodgy under the floodlights, so sometimes it's a bit blurred, but you just knew straight away that's Medine and he's off. there wasn't even any doubt in my mind, who the player was, despite it being blurred. And secondly, it was going. And, it's all right. It's all right playing the hard man and whatever. But, when you, well, listen,
irresponsible.
Yeah,
Tim.
it's incredibly irresponsible. And it was
in a game like that. In a game like this,
wasn't he? Meant to set an example, not beating up the opposition. So it's and it said that the fact is, there was I think there was a noticeable, there was a noticeable view around the ground that we were in the shit after that, and I think he rightly got booed as he was going off. I think he deserved it.
I suppose the one positive from it is it forces McCarthy's hand a bit, doesn't it, in terms of selection for the next 4 games? We might end up being a bit more attacking by default.
You'd like to think the approach to the games, Nick, as well.
Well, he can't even drag Beasley out anywhere, can he? Because he's out now.
Right.
He's out for the season.
We might be forced into playing our best players, which is a novel thing.
Yeah.
Raggy, you don't know what you're on about. Come on.
I know. Well,
you have said your football knowledge isn't spot on. Come on.
It's terrible. But
play your best players to win a football game. That's just madness.
Put them in the right positions and tell them to score in that goal that's 24 foot wide. Scoring that thing.
As Bob said, what we'll actually get is launching the ball to Lavery.
Christ, if we start doing that on Saturday, then it is game over for me.
Yeah.
You can maybe understand it with a big man up front who can win headers, as poor as it is to watch. But Christ, if you start doing it with a midget up front, then we're in the shit.
If he starts doing that, you'll see me at the side of Mick McCarthy's. Don't worry. After 5 minutes,
I've already had a pop. What do you think he's going to do now? We'll talk about that on the preview. Barry Roberts, he might play more up front. You know me, Tim, I've been chomping at the bit to have more on the pitch. Didn't expect it to be
his opportunity. Tallest player we've got. Probably could kick it quite high as well.
Probably could throw it higher than CJ as well. Yeah.
So we might end up with 3 keepers on the pitch if we start about kicking the ball.
Maybe we could bring on Grimmy as a special teams thrower, like they do in American football.
Yeah.
So sorry, CJ.
All sorts of opportunities.
Dear me. What has gone on here?
Oh, we were all so hopeful as well, weren't we?
Oh,
Silly us.
Well, the thing is, for a bit of balance, it's still relatively early days, isn't it? And I think we're probably going to see. I mean, hopefully, he's not just the Medine thing, but he's seen what Bowler can do out wide and not playing him in the centre, and glimpses from Rodgers as well. And he knows we've got to get 3 points on Saturday. So, it's by default or what. Hopefully, we will see a bit more of an attacking lineup. And it's still early days, isn't it? He's an experienced guy, so.
I do have to say, I've not celebrated goals like I celebrated the other night for a long time. So by default, again, it turned into an exciting night at the end.
Yeah,
which sort of ignited everyone again, didn't it? So it was not the whole doom and gloom. It was just
we've not had many goals in the North this year, have we? All in all, there's been a dearth of them. So it was actually great for once that we had and for as quiet as it went in the first half. I came out the second half thinking, if we go 2-0 down, I can't actually stay and watch this. I'm going to go home. And that's what I said to the guys. But just because I was so frustrated with the way we'd played. But we seemed to come out the second half almost with a different mindset, which was very refreshing, to say the least.
Yeah. So that must have been from instruction from Mick McCarthy, mustn't it? So he's obviously...
Well, I think it's a combination of lines, and obviously he takes Carey off, who's had another ineffectual game for me, and brought Rodgers on. So all of a sudden he's now got with Yates gone central as well. Yates has gone central with Medine going off, and then you've got Rodgers on the left, and then you've got Lions really pushing on the right, and all of a sudden we looked like we could actually play a bit of football.
Yeah.
Remarkably.
The worrying thing is, Tim, the worrying thing is that this was forced upon him, really.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the Rodgers one wasn't, but and I suppose that if you're going to commend something, it is that he does make a positive change at half time, in addition to the enforced one. And of course, he does have to. His options are slightly limited because he's got to keep the solid back four. And he's got to keep the two in midfield, really, hasn't he? So where he makes his changes he's slightly restricted because nobody wants to see Yates go. I think the only argument might have been whether CJ could have gone earlier. It was a sea change, and straight away the North was giving it plenty, which is what the team need and what we've been missing, I think, as well.
Yeah,
definitely, and I do think he will have seen a lot in that second half and them last 20 minutes or so to change his mind on certain tactics going forward. He's got to. It was so different compared to that rubbish in the first half. And like I say, I do. He will have definitely walked in thinking, right, I've got a team of average players here and I need to get them to play a certain way. And then he's just going to figure it out in the next few games that he hasn't got average players. He's got a good side. I'm convinced at least two of our players are getting any team in the Championship.
Do you think he's too long in the tooth?
Well, hopefully not.
To change his approach to games.
Well, he's experienced, isn't he? And the one thing I suppose we have to do, if he is the manager, you've got to let him manage, haven't you? I mean, obviously we're doing shows like this. You're always going to talk about it, but he's going to have to manage, and we're going to have to trust it. And I don't think any of us thought we were going to watch the best football in the world, but on the same token, I don't think anyone thought they were going to see that. Either.
Well, I don't know. I thought you were rather prophetic. You were with the song that you made up about him, about 10 men at the back and Medine.
Yeah. But I didn't.
Far off, were we?
It was a bit of a joke. I mean, it does finish with going to the Premier League, so it was a little bit tongue in cheek.
Maybe Mick took you literally. Probably heard that and thought, well, Raggy's spoken, so I've got to get 10 men behind the ball and just leave Medine up front to twat everybody.
Well, thankfully you can't do that now, at least not for the next 4 games.
I told you I know nothing about football.
Nick, bowler for CJ.
Yeah.
Game-changing moment.
It was indeed. We know what Josh Bowler's capable of. And I know McCarthy's obviously talked about wanting to do this other side of the game, played him a bit more central, which I get, we're in a relegation fight. You need everybody to do your bit. Luxury players, you do need them to track back, etc., etc. But at the same time, anybody who knows anything about Josh Bowler knows where you need to play him. And it doesn't work in the middle. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. He was out wide and he made the difference, didn't he? And Rodgers as well. I thought Rodgers played well. There's a reason why, he went to Premier League club. Last season, he was, brilliant for us. He needs to get, obviously, his match fitness up, but he's only going to do that by being on the pitch. So hopefully, like I said, McCarthy has seen that. Although I think I haven't read his comments, but I think he was talking post-match again about, what he needs to do in the other side of it. But for me, whether it's coming off the bench or starting, he's got to start. He's got to be wide because he's our most creative player when he's on his game. And yeah, he will do things that are frustrating and he might lose the ball, but then equally, he'll do something that gets you a goal or gets you an assist and gets the crowd going. So, fingers crossed, we will be seeing a bit more of him in his best position because he was the difference on Tuesday night.
Played that really heavy ball to him high up, and he absolutely rollicked him, didn't he? Going to my feet.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Dougal, I think he missed it a bit, and he did hold his hand up. But that's what you've got to do, it was a good position, that one, in a relatively early stage of him being on, and you've got to utilise it. I don't know what was said in the post-match press conference that Peter's alluded to, but we need people who are game changers, and you're not going to win games. I don't think we're going to win games doing what we did in the first half. I think that is just that's almost like showing the white flag already.
It's the wrong approach for me, Tim. We need to win games. We need to win 6, maybe 7 games, and you can't set up like that in any game. Maybe Burnley. You could understand it if we were playing Burnley, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And another thing with Bowler, is we haven't got time to be converting players to play a different position and then get them to learn a new role. It's not the time to do that. He's only back on loan with us. We know what his strengths are. Get him out wide. Otherwise, if you're going to bring him on and play in central, you might as well not play him because it is a waste of a position. We haven't got time to be 4 or 5 games. Have a go at doing that and see if you can do it. Play people it's just an obvious thing, isn't it? Play people in the best position. You wouldn't stick Kenny Dougal on the wing and say, we need you to do what Josh Bowler does.
But
He'd have no chance of doing it, would he?
Didn't he?
So yeah, you say it again.
I said Appleton stopped Beasley on the wing, though, so you never know.
And Yates at right back.
Yeah.
Stuart Moore, centre forward. It's coming. Next game.
Look, he's got to be on that pitch, Bowler, and so's Pervader, and so's Rodgers, and Yates, and they've got to be. They're just the best players, and
We should pick the team.
You left Bowler out. I'll pick.
Yeah, we know the players inside out. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And I do honestly believe you can't watch Josh Bowler and then go, I'm not playing him. I don't think he's seen in training what he will have seen for 15, 20 minutes the other night. He hasn't seen it in the other games he's been here because he's been playing him in midfield, and he won't have that same dynamism in, if that's a word. Is that a word, Tim? Dynamism.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the horn?
Raggyism.
There you go. He won't have that same level in training as he does in
It's weird, isn't it, Raggy, when you come on here and when you sit next to Tim? These are like words that you don't know existed before come into your head, don't they?
Like a thesaurus now. Yeah, mate.
The thing is, nowadays, though, just going back to Bowler, even if you didn't know what he was about, you don't watch the Football League show, it's easy enough to find out, isn't it? To watch.
What about the back? Is there any of the
speak to the backroom staff?
I was just going to say that. What about the existing backroom staff? Sure, you'd like to think that someone's in there just getting in his ear. And Sean, for example, where's Sean?
Yeah, well, even
Where's
the player.
McKinley?
You think the odd player would tell him as well, wouldn't you? But
I blame Sean McKinley personally.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's got a position in there. He must have the ear of the manager, mustn't he? How many times a day will he speak to Mick McCarthy? And he can pass on his wisdom.
Maybe Bowler's XG stats don't stack up. Maybe they don't reach a certain threshold, and Sean can't recommend him based on that.
I can't imagine Mick McCarthy would give a shit about XG stats anyway.
No.
Probably punch him.
I mean, Sean's bromance, I think they're still going strong, so he's not going to be too critical of Mick, is he?
Right, where were we? Talking about Josh Bowler coming on. Josh Bowler was heavily involved, Tim, in our equaliser. Lions goal on 82 minutes. Good work. Was it 1-2 between Bowler and your boy, wasn't it, Sir Kenneth?
Yeah, listen, we were playing a bit of football, and it was fast, it was to feet, it was well controlled, and the finish that then comes from Andy Lyons is just something else. It was almost Brazilian in some ways, wasn't it? The way that it was just like an absolute rocket across from the right hand side of the pitch to the left hand corner, and to say the North went wild is the understatement of the year, I think, Raggy, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not celebrated like that. It was good. Well, that's the emotion of turning up, isn't it? We knew it was a big game for us. We've not got out of jail as such because it's 2 points dropped. We'd have beat them all day long, and everyone knows it. But it was getting away with it because of 10 men and the way we'd battered our way through that first half, trying to hit the moon.
No, that was CJ.
Yeah.
David Coleman just said, and with his right foot as well, Nick. It was a measured and controlled finish.
Oh, it was superb. Yeah.
What a noise! What a noise when that hit the back of the net.
Oh, it was, because it was such a sweet strike. I think you'll probably not see many better in terms of how clean he hit it. It's early days, and try not to get too carried away, but I think we've got a player on our hands there.
He's a good player.
Who could go a long way if he keeps doing what he's doing so far. Yeah, it was brilliant to see. Hopefully the first of many, because he was pretty prolific at his last club, wasn't he?
Shamrock.
Yeah, and I think he was in double figures, or certainly for assists as well. So obviously likes to get forward, modern day fullback, and long may it continue.
Well, see a bit of a partnership maybe developing there, can't he, with Bowler as well, where he's the type of player who will pass it accurately, which is what Bowler needs. He doesn't want people sort of, if you're going to use your instant control and move it forward, the ball's got to be right. So you don't need to be spending time bringing it down and get it under control. So I would, good point by Chris Harris as well. Very, very like Seamus Coleman, isn't he? He's a bit taller, but the way he plays his football is very similar.
Mm.
And that fullback overlap, who'll potentially overlap Bowler, helps Bowler out, doesn't it?
Mm. Oh, massively, yeah.
That takes a player away for him to cut in then. And so he's a better option than Connolly will be in that position as well. So I'm nothing against Connolly, but Lyons is by far and away the better player and needs to be on the pitch.
That's just stupid, Raggy. You don't pick your best players in the best positions.
But you pick your hardest players, best fighters, get them on, and longest thrower.
We've seen Mick's playbook. We've seen.
Highest thrower, not longest.
Yeah. Do you think they get a netball out, netball court, so they can practice the ball by throwing it up like that? So you have to throw it through the netball. It's got to be something like that, isn't it?
When they put the bibs on the subs, CJ will have GA or GS on his bib. Goal shooter, goal attacker. For those that don't know the netball positions, I only know that because my mum.
I was going to say, John, how do you know it?
Of course you do.
Right, we were back in the game. Everyone was buzzing. We've got out of jail. And then we were slung back into jail just 4 minutes later. Josh Korma curled one in. Now it's Koroma. Raggy, it was a bit like the goal at Middlesbrough.
Well, the funny thing was, I was just turning round looking because they were all singing Andy Lyons, the same song as what Feeney used to have, didn't he? Running down. Yeah. His name is Andy Lyons. I was looking around thinking, hey, that's all right. I'll be good for him now. And when I look back, goal. So I've seen it back on the TV though. But listen, don't come to me for football analysis. I don't know. I cheer when the ball goes in the net and I go mad when they're not playing well. So I don't know what really happened. Bad marking, Lions involved maybe.
Mm. He could have got a bit tighter, I think, if we were being critical.
But McCarthy's probably blamed Bowler for not running back to get it. But
I mean, it was a very good finish.
Yeah, it's a good goal, isn't it? To be fair, just like the Middlesbrough one was, and you're looking for some way to criticise the players, but the reality is he should he got closer? Sometimes you get too close if they're going to run at you into the box. So I'm not sure. I just think sometimes you've got to say good finish.
And we were probably getting a bit excited, weren't we? We're back in here and probably going thinking we're going to win this. And we did have 10 men, so we're always going to be out of position in some respects, aren't we?
Yeah. But yeah, Tim, it was an absolute kick in the bollocks. back in the game, back out of it again.
It almost rivaled the pre-match prick of the balloon of positivity.
I thought you were going to say the pre-match prick.
I know. I've got.
Is that what you're calling the manager already?
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, it did. It deflated because we just, it was buzzing, wasn't it? And we thought, right, we can maybe now go on and win this game because there was, the tails were up. And the concern always is when you concede a goal like that so quickly after you've got back into the game is that it really does take not just the, the positive away from the fan base, but it has an adverse impact on the players because they've put everything in to get back into the game and then they get knocked like that again. Some players' heads will go down, but thankfully, ours didn't, and the fans didn't, did they? After the initial disappointment, it was like because we carried on playing well, which was all you can ever ask, particularly when you're playing one man down.
Mm. Neil Gurley's digging out Dougal there. Dougal's pass is what gave the ball away for their goal. However, Neil, Sir Kenneth of Dougal was instrumental on this. Josh Bowler's equaliser, wasn't he, Tim?
That's my cousin, that Neil Gurley. So clueless. Dougal's the best player on the pitch. Talking about.
It was a well worked goal, and obviously we also saw what Morgan can really do because his touch and the way he created some space for himself really was the real catalyst for that. And
it was with husband, wasn't it? They did a couple of.
I'm not to be honest. Because of as you know, I've been heavy at it at work today and yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to watch anything back. So I obviously saw it live, but obviously when you see it back, you just see specifically who's involved in the build-up. But my focus was very much on what Morgan did and the way it created some space, and then there was that, almost like that. Collective sort of intake and a breath in expectation, and he delivered a great ball in, and thankfully Bowler managed
just popped off Yates, didn't it, Nick? Yates almost got something on it, and it just popped out to Bowler.
Yates had a shot, I think, and it kind of hit the defender, hit Yates, and ran to Josh Bowler, who thankfully swept it home. And I think I was the same as everyone. When it went 2-1, I just looked at Jim and went, "Oh, is that it?" And a lot of people left, didn't they? We stayed.
I still can't believe people leave at that stage in a game. If you're 3-0
I think
down,
it's probably, there's probably just a bit of, oh God, we've seen it before. It's that killer blow, and you wonder if you're going to come back from it. Credit to the fans, particularly the North, because when their second went in, it was a bit like under Critchley when we go a goal behind and it just got louder, which it did on Tuesday night, which was great to see. And I think it was an acknowledgement that we probably didn't deserve that. So it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant when we got the equaliser. Fully deserved, and hopefully it's a platform to build on. Because the fighting spirit, you came out kind of thinking, right, there's as poor as the first half was, there was some real spirit there in the second half with the 10 men. So hopefully they can take the positives from it.
I think the crowd got us over the line in that game, or at least got us a point. It was just,
It doesn't need a lot, does it? It don't need a lot to get it going. It needs
a little spark.
It needs that second half, and Bowler does it at will when he's on the ball. It gets everyone at it, and it is a massive difference. And it all needs to be took into account by the management team and the club. That's what happens. It is important. Sorry, Tim.
No, finish. I thought you'd finished. Go on, carry on.
I was just saying it is important, isn't it? And it gets everyone at it. And look, fans, we've got the best fans in the country, best club. You know my thoughts on it. We're the biggest club in the world. I don't care what anyone says, and we've got the best fans. And it's once they start, it really is something special. And people might seem like they're impatient these days, and probably are. We probably all are a little bit, but we're all a bit worried we might be going down. But it's because expectations gone up, and it should go up. It's right to go up, and we shouldn't be accepting of, oh well, we'll go to League One. No, We're at Championship level. That's the minimum level that we should be at as a football club, and we should be expecting it, and we want better. And it needs to be better. But I do, we had a lot of things last week about the board and everything, and it's the board. But we question the teams that these managers are putting out, and we think we know better teams than them. So I don't think it's down to. But I think we've got the players. We've definitely got the players to certainly not be in a relegation bleeding fight. Anyway, we should have been well up that table. We would have been with a better manager earlier in the season. And then, going forward, we do need better players, certainly defensively. But them attackers, they'd get in any team. And when they're starting and when they're playing and when they're running, and Rodgers looks great and Bowler's great anyway. And if they get Pervader on there and Yates is just a superhuman, that crowd will see us over the line. It will. But
this is what I was going to come in, because what I did think, I thought Yates set the tempo in that second half. I think I'd love to know his stats for how much ground he covered. There was one point where he knew he wasn't going to get it, but he ran. I think he ran from, as we're looking at the pitch, from our attacking left right across, closing down. He did about 3 times. And the North just gave him a huge round of applause, even though he got nowhere near the ball, because he was just saying, he's trying to lift his teammates effectively to say, come on, we can do this. We've got to make up for that, the man we've lost. And I thought he had an incredibly important performance that was for us. Even though he didn't get a goal, it doesn't matter from that perspective. It's all about he set the tempo, and they all seem to pick up on it, and they all lifted their game as well, because you can see how much effort he's putting in. And it may, if you can see one of your teammates doing that, I would think you're going to think, I'm going to make that extra effort. I'm going to make that extra 5 yards to try and close the man down. And that's what they all had to do, and they did it. It was brilliant.
And he did it. He went in for a tackle down in front of us at the corner of the West. And he got a bit of a knock because he kind of grabbed his leg, and you could see he was in pain, and he was trying to run it off, and he was limping for a few minutes. But I think that was when he went chasing it as well. So he's literally running through the pain barrier. There's no thought of, I've got a knock there, I could do with having a minute, or I need to come off. It was just, I know what situation we're in, and I'm not giving up. And like you say, it sets an example then. And it wasn't just the North that applauded him, it was right the way around the ground, because everybody could see and appreciate the effort he was putting in.
Yeah. His reaction when Bowler scored as well, I don't know if anyone saw that. He was going absolutely
he went mental, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a special player, and it's been disrespectful to him all season, putting him at right back, right wing, left wing, all that. He's a top striker. He's a top striker, with skillful, fast, runs his arse off every game, and they need to play him there. And
he won more aerial duels than Medina yesterday. He won 4 out of his 6 aerial duels, and
he's not
even that big, and he's not even that big either, is he?
Yeah, but Johnny's not a small boy. I mean, if you ever stood next to him, he's not a small boy at all.
Is he? Is he quite big?
He's over 6 foot, I think.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah, he's not small.
It's just, think he is, though, don't you, by looking at him on the pitch? He doesn't look big.
I'd have to check his height, but I'm telling you, he's taller than me when I stand next to him. So he's...
I'll tell you, Raggy.
Oh, go on. No.
I'll go carry on talking. I'll find it.
Is he looking him up?
But he's a special talent, and we've got more than just him as a special talent in that team, and it needs putting together properly. And
look at some of the goals he scored this season, though. Do you remember those 2 side foot volleys?
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
That was left foot and right foot. It was with 2 different feet.
Phenomenal. The header against Preston, all these things, and he steps over. What was that goal at Blackpool? Bloomfield Road goal. He stepped over the ball and sort of cut inside at the north side of the ground. Do you remember it? He sort of does a step over in, and not everyone can do that. There's not many strikers can do that. But he's just got to be played over and over again. If he plays over and over again, he will score 20 goals a season for us. If he played every game.
In his right
position. He's been in and out of that team now for 2 seasons nearly.
Apparently he's only 5'8" according to this, I'm not having he's 5'8".
Ridiculous.
It says 1.75 meters on here.
No chance. No chance.
I know he's not that. I know he's taller than that. 5'9", most of them are saying though on here.
Let's do a Jerry Yates height sweepstake.
5'9".
I reckon 5'11".
There's no chance. I've stood next to him. Seen him stood next to Medine because that's when I first saw him when he stood next to Medine, and I thought, bloody hell, maybe he's got some of them special trainers on where you saw a few inches on you. Maybe they're all going to be wearing them next week under Mick. Another 2 inches on your boots, please.
Your Cuban heels.
You've got to pass a height test. You like going on a ride at the pleasure beach. You've got to pass a height test to get in the team.
No, it's called a unit test.
Yeah.
You've got to be sufficient height to become a unit.
A unit.
And play one of mixed teams.
I thought you said a eunuch then.
Right, let's quickly do man of the match then, because we keep forgetting to do this. I'll get the ball rolling, and I'll say Chris Maxwell, because he has been coming in for a bit of shit not shit, but we've been talking him down a bit. But he did make a good save in the second half as well. That save for keeping us in the game in the first half. I just think he deserves a bit of credit for once. So, Chris Maxwell, it's my vote.
They gave it Andy Lyons on the night, did they? Did I see that right? On the board?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No.
Go around the room then. Raggy?
Man of the match. Who should say Dougal now. Upset my cousin a bit. But no. Jerry Yates. Right? Because he just... But if... Only because he came on as sub. I would have given it Morgan Rogers if he'd have played the full game like he played. I thought he was great, but Jerry Yates for the full game.
Nick?
I'd have to agree. I think I know he didn't score, but just for what we've just talked about, the effort they put in, the example it sets to the rest of the team. He just never gave up. So I will give it to Yates. Good shout for Andy Lyons as well, though, to be fair. Who had a decent game. But I will go Yates just for his never say die attitude.
Tim?
Well, I think you know what I'm going to say after my little monologue. So I'll definitely say Yates, 100%. Fantastic performance, fantastic attitude. And... he gave the captain-esque performance that we need. Even though I don't like strikers as captains, he wasn't the captain, but he led as a captain. I thought on Tuesday night.
Okay. Manager rating we've not done. I promised to do this. Thought I'd do this for the lols. Manager rating, Nick. You can get the ball rolling.
Right. Obviously, based on just what the team you picked in the first place.
I think what you need to do is get a score in your head for your first half, get a score in your head for your second half,
and add it together.
Get it in the middle.
Yeah, I'll go scraping a 6, just because he did make change. I know it was partially enforced, but he did get Bowler on in the end as well. So.
With only 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. I'll scrape it from a 5+ to a 6.
I was about to say, you're using the FPRS system for the manager rating.
Yeah.
Tim?
4. And listen, for the most part, those changes...
The lineup.
We lost. We dropped it. For me, we dropped 2 points. They were there for the taking. And,
their manager got sacked after the end of the game as well, which shows you how bad they are and the run they were on.
And that was a game that was, if we're ever going to win a game this season, that was the one that was one of the most likely. And we just in the first half, we just surrendered all the advantages that you would normally expect to have as a home team. We've got fit players who can win games for us, and we bench them all. So and then we're playing catch up. And yes, we do come back, but realizing you've made a mistake and changing it, I suppose I might have given him a 3. I'd have given him a 3 if he hadn't changed it, maybe even a 2, because we're going down if we play like we did in the first half.
Raggy.
I have no idea really. Terrible first half, obviously. totally the wrong team in our opinion. But I'll give him I'll give him a point for the fact that I could understand why he'd picked it. It was obvious. Well, it seemed obvious to me, and then but totally wrong, totally crap. But whether it was forced or not, the football changed in the second half. It changed, and it was exciting. And his reaction when we scored, something we're not used to seeing from managers lately.
He was shouting a lot as well.
You're right, and he was out.
Pass it to CJ.
Yeah.
Hoof it.
Let CJ take the cup throw in.
Have it. He was shouting, have it.
Curtis, have it.
And then, so he was with all that in there. Six is fair, isn't it? But if he plays the same team on Saturday, you can take 3 points off it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
six, put 3 in brackets.
3 suspended.
Yeah.
Pending. 3 pending.
That's a new paradigm on the Seasiders podcast, a suspended manager score. Love it. I would have never used the word paradigm in a live previous before hanging around with Tim.
Yeah.
3 thesauruses in my car when we're driving to any away game. You can have a little word quiz.
Right, player ratings. Let's get the thingy back up. The team list. Chris Maxwell, Raggy.
Well, one of his better games for the. There was a couple of occasions I did notice he didn't come off his line when I thought maybe he should have done. But it's not his game, is it? You know, like defending's not Bowler's game. Coming off his line's not Maxwell's game. So we'll have to take the good bits. But for that save gets him a lot of points, doesn't it, as well? And he made a good save in the second half as well, didn't he? So
brilliant, yeah. People forget about that as well, yeah.
So
that's 2-0 if that goes in.
Yeah. It's 7 and 8, between 7 and 8, 7.5.
Are you aware of the fielding player rating system? I don't think he is.
Oh, go on.
Tim, tell Raggy.
Yeah, you like when you're at school, you've got to use plus or minuses. So it's either like an A minus you used to get, or
you don't have to use a plus or minus though, Tim. Do you? You don't have to.
No, you don't have to. That's where you use your shades of between the scores.
7 plus.
There we go.
Raggy has been initiated in the
introduced
use of the
by
FPRS.
Yours truly some time ago.
It's called the FPRS, Raggy. If you want to go hyper nerd, fielding player rating system. It's an international standard that FIFA are implementing next season.
Fielding's law is a modern day Newton.
Fielding's. Someone should start up a law firm called Fielding's Law, shouldn't they?
Well, it's all there, isn't it? It's all there.
Hey.
You've got to be annoyed, Tim, not getting having your own name on your own business. I would be. I'd be kicking off about that.
That was not none of us who were there have got the name on it.
Oh, tax fiddle.
Yeah. Hide behind a little bit of neutrality, you know. No, it's just that they're old. The firm's been called that since the 70s.
Not you and Nadeem and Harvey aren't bedfellows, are you? Anyway, we're digressing, aren't we?
We are.
Callum Connolly, Tim.
Yeah, I thought he had a competent game. I mean, obviously, you know, he
didn't really judge Curtis Nelson's Avett very well, though, did he?
No. Oh yes, I'm forgetting about the first goal.
They were looking for Hamilton's throw-in.
I always like Callum when he's in the team, though. He always gives 100%, doesn't he? And you know, that's a little bit of an aberration. That, to be fair, that first goal, but
aberration. It's another one.
There we go. I've got to give him a 7, though. I think it was a steady performance.
Nick, Charlie Good. Was he good within the first half an hour?
Wasn't on for very long, was he? So it's hard to judge.
Can we not give Lions his score instead?
Yeah, okay, let's do.
Yeah. I will go for Lions. Obviously scored, had a good game. I will give him an 8.
Okie dokie. Raggy, Curtis, Avett, Nelson.
Nelson, old Mandela himself. I don't know what to make of him. He looks a decent enough player, but
I think he's a typical Mick McCarthy player, isn't he?
Well, obviously his instruction was
to whack
kick the
it.
ball, Curtis, as high and as far as you can. So in that respect, he succeeded massively, didn't he? Apart from when the goal where he didn't kick it as far as he can, just as high as he could. So
I thought he had a good second half, though. To be fair, I thought he was a lot better in the second half. I think it was his ball out for the second goal as well, wasn't it, from the back? Yeah. So he wasn't. I thought he was okay second half. He looked a bit more composed.
I do. It's 7. No pluses or minuses.
Just as a side, it's interesting that Thornley doesn't even make the bench on Tuesday.
That's a joke.
That's
a joke.
You know, when you look, we haven't really got many defenders in there, have we? You know, no centre back cover at all.
He's not got a good jab on him. You see, he couldn't get in it on the fight on the pitch.
Yeah. In fact, Raggy, maybe they had him in the Armfield club and he didn't score high enough on the punch bag game.
That's a good. That's something, isn't there? That could be something to get him involved in.
I think we know we'll win that one, though, don't we?
The harder you punch, the harder you punch, you
might. I can use your elbow when you're doing it instead of your punch.
He had to go in there one time when he was in Gary Medine on that point. He beat Brian Rose on it.
Did he?
You know,
Did he really?
Yeah. You won't want to get punched off Medine.
I've lost my train of thought. Where were we?
Husband.
We're on husband next.
Husband. Who's on? Who's next?
Did we actually give him a score, Curtis Nelson, though?
7.
We were talking about him. I don't think we got to the score.
Yeah. Tim, Jimmy Husband, heavily involved in the build-up with Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, I thought he had a better second half than first half, to be honest. He a few wayward passes in the first, but you know what you're going to get with Jimmy, don't you? You know, you're going to get a committed performance. You're going to get, some positive play going forward as well. He did get sucked into some of the hoofing, though. I noticed he seemed to. I think Mick must have given him the pep talk before the start and told him just to follow Nelson's lead and welly it. But no, he did get better. He did get better, and I'll give him a 7.
Nick, Tom Tribal, tidy. I would describe his performance as.
Yeah, tidy, not spectacular, but he was okay. Which he's a defensive midfielder, isn't he? So that's kind of what you need him to be. I will give him a 6+.
6+. Sonny Carey, Raggy, bit shit, really.
Yeah, agreed.
Bit shit, got binned.
Bit shit, got binned. Yeah, not much more to say. I mean, he's a good lad, and he'll be a good player in the future. But he's not. He shouldn't be in that team right now for me, anyway. But
mind you, the ball was constantly played just over his head all the time.
I was going to say, what was he supposed to do? Because other than just run back and forwards and watch the ball, I don't know. Yeah, just report back to the centre half. Yeah, it made it, Nelson. You're all right. It got there. So a 4.
Yeah. Right, Tim, Kenny Dougal, Sir Kenneth of Dougal, back in the team. You'll be.
Yeah, I don't think he's been on the top of his game recently, but I thought overall, and I haven't watched it back. I hadn't realised his involvement in the
First goal.
in the first goal. No, sorry, the second goal. He was involved in. I knew about his involvement in the first. But yeah, I thought he had it. It frustrated me a little bit because I think a little bit like with husband, I think he got caught up in the hoofing a little bit at one stage. But again, I think it's probably on instruction more than anything else. But I don't know. I thought he did all right. 8. What, you thought higher?
No, just a bit lower, I'd have said.
Maybe 7. I thought he was similar to Tribal. He was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'd go 7+.
Oh, okay, I'll revise it down. I do actually need to watch the game back, but I thought...
Don't be bullied, Tim. Don't get bullied.
No, but I thought...
Don't listen to us. We haven't got a clue.
Well, I'm sure I sort of up to a little bit because on the basis he was involved in both goals. But
Leanne wouldn't be happy with that 8 for Kenny.
Oh, well, we got her sarcastic post about that's his best performance, didn't we, on Tuesday? So that wasn't said with any.
I thought
meaning.
Kenny was good anyway. Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I thought he had a good game, Kenny.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I mean, you get shades between maybe 7+ will go then. We'll split the difference.
Right, Nick, Jerry Yates, all guts performance once again from Jezza.
It was, and we've talked about this a few minutes ago. His energy and his running and his closing down was just non-stop. And quite often, he's just chasing lost causes. You're down to 10 minutes. It's so difficult when you're up there doing that. But he never stopped. And even, like I say, with a bit of a knock as well, he kept going. So I will give him a 9.
Yeah, I'd give him that.
Yeah. CJ Hamilton, Raggy. The shuttlecock returns. A goal in the first half. He was responsible for the carry chance.
I like CJ Hamilton, but he's got one job in his whole footballing life, and that's to run after a ball. Not to receive a ball or anything like that. Just run. Someone kick the ball in front of him and run. And maybe that was part of they got the kicking the ball over the top, right, didn't they? But he's, I don't know. What do we think?
Don't be bullied. Don't be bullied.
I'm not. I like him.
2.
I mean, he wouldn't start in the team with what's on the bench, but I like him.
I'd say around 6+. Didn't really.
I'm getting pelts off Pete in the comments about giving Kenny 7+. I suppose when you're at the game, you don't. When I just literally haven't watched anything back, so sometimes maybe you see things that others don't or whatever.
I thought Kenny did got a decent game, to be fair. But Hamilton, who said 6+ then? Yeah, 7 then. Yeah.
Kenny Dougal accurate passes 24 out of 36. Created 2 chances.
Those stats aren't too bad, I don't think, are they, if you analyse it.
Yeah, tackles 1 4 out of 6. And I won't bore people with stats. That was Sean's job, wasn't it? Where are we? CJ Hamilton done. Gary Medine, Tim.
I think it's on me. 3. Let side down, big style. Let himself down. Let his manager down. Let the fans down.
Not a lot more to be said.
No.
Right, we've got anything more to do on that game? I don't think we have we? So, all in all, getting a point out of that game with the circumstances was a good result, really. But I think it could have been so much better. We've got a chance to redeem ourselves tomorrow, Tim, against Rotherham.
Or Friday, or Saturday even.
Saturday, sorry. How are we going to line up for this? How are we going to beat Rotherham? Because they're no mugs. A lot of people think they are, but they've had a good window in January. What's that? Hugo, what's his name from Preston?
Hugill.
Jordan
Hugill from Norwich.
Norwich, yep, signed in.
They sort of remind me a
Sheff
little
United
bit
as well.
A little bit like us last season. I think they've got the first year bounce, haven't they? Which is probably secured them a few points that in the second year they might not get, because they have been a little bit of a yo-yo club, haven't they? But they seem to. I think they look like they've probably done enough to stay up. I've not checked the table this week, but they look like they've probably done enough to stay up this year, I think.
No,
I'm not so sure.
They're only about 4 points in front of us.
All right, okay. I thought they were a bit more ahead of us than that.
No.
So.
No.
Oh, it's a biggie then, isn't it? What was the score at theirs? It's about, did they beat us about 3-0 or something?
Worst game until the first half on Tuesday.
They're a bit of a bogey side, Rotherham. We always seem to lose against them, particularly away. You had ever seen us win there?
I can remember. I'm trying to think of games we have actually beaten them. They're quite few and far between, aren't they?
I might just check the stats out, actually. Someone talk while I'm typing.
Well, in terms of the your question of how we beat them, it's with a more attacking lineup, isn't it? And obviously with no Medine, hopefully that means you see Yates up top. He'll probably go with Tribal and Dougal again in the middle. Stick with Maxwell in nets.
There is some suggestion that Stewart's back on grass.
Well, he's from Jamaica, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm gonna say. It'll help with his recovery.
Right. Always a fun feature, this. Let's pick the team to beat Rotherham.
I'd go Maxwell in nets. Not just because he had a decent game the other night. I think, and I'm a massive Grimmy fan, and I hope that, he'll obviously be fed up at the moment not playing. And I hope he stays, because I think he's got the potential to develop further. I think Maxwell's at a level, albeit a very good level. I just think at the moment to chuck Grimmy in for such an important game, I don't know if he would do that, because we do need the 3 points, and Maxwell's been playing, so
I think he's done enough to keep the shirt as well.
Yeah, I think I'd edge. There's a cigarette paper between them for me in terms of ability, but I think for continuity, he will stick with Maxwell, and I would probably just about agree with that.
Everyone else?
I normally, I'll go for Grimmy. I actually follow the logic behind that. I don't think you drop a player on the basis of the way he played on Tuesday night. I thought he did enough to keep the shirt, and if I was managing, I wouldn't. If I was managing it, as much as I love Grimmy, I would have left Maxwell in based on Tuesday night's performance.
Okay. We going 4-2-3-1 then formation wise, are we?
I think so.
Yeah. Whether he will is another question, but
oh yeah. Right, the choices are somewhat limited in centre half. We've got Avett Nelson, we've got Jordan Thornley, or we've got potentially Callum Connolly at centre half.
I think he'll go Connolly and
no,
Nelson.
Tim.
What?
We don't want to know what he's doing. This is our team.
I said I would. I said I would go.
You didn't. You said I think he will go. Who do you want in there? I want Thornley back.
Thornley and Avett.
We all agreed Thornley's going in left side of defence. Done nothing wrong ever, but keeps getting binned.
I don't know what's going on with him. I feel sorry for the lad. I don't know. It may be the right tit. I don't know. Well,
it's weird.
He comes across to me as somebody who's quite quiet.
Yeah.
And maybe McCarthy's thinking he's just not got the right attitude, what he wants from a hard-nosed centre-back.
Every manager we have seems to bin him off, bring him back, bin him off. Yeah. And he never seems to let us down.
I know a couple of Oxford fans, and they raved about him when they had him on loan. They were gutted to lose him.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is with him. Oh, sorry.
Something like Tim's cheese and biscuits in the floor.
Yeah. Hamilton's throwing's just landed on my roof.
Right, get Nelson in as well then.
Not a shout for Connolly. No.
Yeah, well,
I'd be tempted to play Connolly there.
I think I'd rather have Connolly than Nelson.
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah.
Because all we're going to get is those launched balls up the pitch, which are what Raggy says is our 6 foot plus centre forward.
Yeah. 6 foot stroke, 5'8" centre forward. I don't in between there.
Jerry Yates, if you're listening to this, could you send us a tweet telling us, measure yourself and let us know how high you are, please? Settle an argument.
I'm saying he's 6 foot. He's definitely 6 foot.
I'm saying 5'11".
How tall's Medine? 6'3" or something.
Got to be 6'3", I need 6'4".
They're not all going to be wrong, are they? There's about 3. All the stats have him at 175 centimetres.
Yeah, but the first one will just copied the others will just copied the first one. It's not. He's not Harlan. It's Jenny Yates. They don't know who he is. Who's writing now?
5'8.5", one of them. That's 5'8.5". He's 175. They're all.
Right, let's
all
get back
say
on.
175.
Come on,
Let's
we're
get back on
digressing.
track.
Yeah,
We're back to it.
Right, we've got options at full back. We've got Andy Lyons can obviously go either side, but he has to go right back for me. Anyone got a problem?
Can I
with
just
that?
say I'd have Nelson in for Connolly, but if I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted.
What was that? Nelson for Connolly. Andy Grice has just said they are both left-sided centre halves. Mate, that does muddy the waters slightly, actually. I might actually err on the side of Nelson with that piece of information.
Why?
If they're both left-sided centre halves.
Who? He's on about him and Thornley, so you're not going to play him and Thornley together.
I've got to say, Connolly's right-footed, isn't he?
Connolly's right.
What's he on about? What's he on about, Andy?
No, Andy Grice is on about playing Nelson with Thornley.
Lost the plot, Gricey. What are you talking about?
Nelson and Thornley. Yeah, I understood. Yeah, I think I understood what he meant.
Yeah. They're the two. So it's when we were talking about playing Nelson when Nick mentioned it. That's when he put in his 2 Pennyworth. So he's right. So you got to play. If you're going to play Thornley, you've got to play Connolly.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Which we did anyway. Right back Lions, left back Husband. I think that picks itself, doesn't it? Dougal and Tribal again.
Yeah.
Right, I'll open my opening gambit is Bowler, Rodgers, Pervader.
Agreed.
Nick?
Yeah,
Tim?
don't disagree.
Yeah, 100%. As much as I've enjoyed watching CJ.
Where's our throwing?
Oh, actually, yeah. That muddies the waters. We won't have that killer throw into the box, will we? Where's Josh Bowler? Fastest midfielder. And Rodgers, left side. Jazza all day long up there, innit?
Yeah.
Look at
unless
that.
Unless we're playing long ball, then we'll stick Lavery up there.
If we are talking what he will do, I think Lavery's going to start on. I think CJ will start.
Please, no.
And I think Lavery's going to start. So put your bets on now.
In fact, we should do. If we had time, we could do 2 teams, couldn't we?
What should be played and what does get played.
Yeah.
But one of CJ and Lavery will definitely start 100%.
Now I know we're not football managers. Well, not professional ones anyway. And but that team there would rip Rotherham apart.
And Huddersfield.
And many other teams in that division.
The Cardiffs and the Wigans all have got to come to Blackpool, haven't they?
Look at that front four.
Yeah, I know they're getting most teams in the division. It's bizarre. Well, why no manager wants to play that? I don't know.
CJ and Lavery started on Saturday. It's happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's happening.
It's written.
Yeah.
Oh, again, just before we head off, let's do match predictions. Let's do a prediction for that team that's just played, and let's do a prediction for the team that Mick will play, starring CJ Shuttlecock Hamilton and Shane, the target man Lavery.
The big fella. Shane, the big fella Lavery. Yeah. Dear me.
Oh.
We need to drag Carlton Palmer back out or something, don't we?
Do you know, fun fact, Carlton Palmer used to drink 2 double brandies every time before he played a game.
I could tell. I could tell watching him.
Carlton,
what are you doing up there, Carlton?
It's gotta be big. It's gotta be big. I'm not talking about Shane Lavery. Right, if we have that team, I'm saying we're winning 3-1. But I don't think Mick will pick that team. I think we'll draw or lose. No, I think he'll pick a shit team again, and I think we're going to lose 2-1.
I think that team we would win 2-0. The team he'll pick will win 1-0. I'm being positive.
Raggy.
I think we're going to win either way because we got to. So we've got to win. So we all have to believe we're going to win, don't we? But that team there, I think would beat most teams in the division. I think they'd hammer Rotherham that 4-0.
But
so,
there's a caveat to this.
But with Mick Ball and Shuttlecock and Mandela
and the back. Shuttlecock, the big fella, and the big fella, and big
Mandela at the back,
and Abbott.
We've got 1-0. 1-0.
This sounds like a Guy Ritchie film cast.
It's got Mike Bassett written all over it. It's what it is. So, yeah, 1-0 or 4-0. Somewhere in between that.
Okay. All right, Tim, to close this show off.
Yeah. 2-0 that team wins. We're going to lose 3-1.
It all depends if that balloon gets popped again when that team lineup comes out, doesn't it? There's going to be high expectation once again on Saturday. It's going to be a massive game.
Well, it's going to, because it ain't going to be that team we've just picked. So it's whatever team you think it's going to be, what he's going to pick, that's what he's going to pick. So we better get used to it. And,
Neil, we just have Neil.
Yeah, we just have.
Have it, the shuttlecock.
And the big fella.
It's gonna be so funny if this happens.
Vader will get about 2 minutes if he's lucky.
Yeah.
Paul will get the last 20, and Rodgers might get on if somebody gets injured.
Dear me, we're going to find ourselves praying for injuries soon.
Or another red card. Get him warmed up, Raggy, on that boxing machine. Get him angry before the game.
We're going to be bouncing up.
Go and get Abbott angry before the game.
Yeah, they get in, have a warm up. No, listen, we got to get it bouncing on Saturday, haven't we? Simple as that. Yeah. And we will be. I'm bang up for it. I'm going to be hanging off that balcony at the Anfield early doors, getting it going. Well,
is this the rumour about Red Bull Blackpool? That's nothing to do with you being their biggest customer, is it?
I'll clear it up for everyone because I got asked about 50 times when I was at Middlesbrough. Everyone was wittering on about Sadler selling the club here, there, and everywhere. And to the best of my knowledge, it's all nonsense, but it might not be. But as far as I know, it's nonsense. So it wasn't meant to be like this. But at the same time as reading ABFTT, I was in the Anfield last Thursday, and the Red Bull rep was there putting up posters and new laminated things for Red Bull. And I just said to Carver and Grimmy, it'd be great if they bought the football club, wouldn't it? So Carver says, I'm going to put that on Twitter. So he gave me his phone, and I just wrote that on his Twitter and sent it. And there you go. and look how it grew legs. It's great.
Amazing.
So that'll clear it up. Red Bull's definitely not buying us, but we are going to have a Red Bull promotion day soon at the Alfield Club, which I wish we'd timed it right, because you'd have seen Red Bull flags everywhere and thought there's something in it. But yeah, it was just me messing about.
Never.
But who knows? Stranger things have happened, though. They might have gained their interest, you know.
Exactly. That rep could go back to Red Bull headquarters in Salzburg and wherever it is.
Yeah.
RB Blackpool.
Yeah. We'd take it. I'd be happy anyway.
You're going to be the face of Red
What
Bull.
if we had white shirts and red shorts? You'd be happy, would you?
No, we won't be having that. We won't be having none of that, would we? They'd come out with a new drink, new tangerine Red Bull, wouldn't they?
Tangerine. They do a tangerine Red Bull. The orange one that's knocking around. That's all right, actually.
That's orange tin, not tangerine.
Yeah, well, it's near enough. This has to have a bit of pigment in it, a bit more Pantone in it, and we're there.
Right, I think we'll call it a day there. An hour and a half of absolute quality content. I think you'll all agree, everybody. So yeah, we'll come back after the Rotherham game. We'll either be in a very good mood or not so happy. Yeah, but hang ourselves off. Yeah, I was going to say the floodlights of Bloomfield Road, but there aren't any more. Right, yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks Raggy, thanks Nick, thanks Tim. Thanks everybody for joining us. Do like and subscribe to the show if you're watching on YouTube. All nice to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading the audio pod. And up the pool, let's beat those Yorkies. Up the pool.